Welcome to the Land, your bet sports betting show. Late night on Wednesday as we get ahead of this Thursday 5-game slate in the NBA with you guys. Decent night on Wednesday. Had about a 500 record or so, right around 500 even money as well. We'll take no losses, but could have used a couple W's here with D'Lo not quite going over, and the other miss was Paolo. That was a big problem for us tonight. Got the Giddy under and a couple other nice bets. We'll go through the full card and how we did on Thursday during that live stream, as we do each and every weekday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you jump in there for the final card and final plays that we come up with together. You guys jump in there with some bets in the comments, and then we go over that stuff together. But let's get right into this 5-game slate here for Thursday. Quick look at the schedule with these 5 games. We do have a number of teams that are on the front end of the back-to-back, as Friday is going to be another big day of games in the NBA with 12 of them. You can see a couple of the games here that I do think are going to be really important. Looking at Dallas playing Golden State on Friday, that might be a look ahead for them against Atlanta, who just beat Detroit. And then the other one that I really think might be a little bit of a look ahead, if we're being honest here, is the Kings against the Knicks. Everybody looks at that Boston game with fear. The Knicks, still a really good squad, but they might be a bit of an oversight for this Kings team, who's going to be taking on Boston on Friday. So keep in mind, some of these teams might not be coming out as strong on Thursday with a look ahead on Friday. First game on Thursday that we're looking at here, the Knickerbockers taking on the Kings at the Garden here, -3.5 for the Knicks, 3.5 point dogs on the road there for the Kings with a 216.5 total. We know Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk are not going to be in for the Kings probably for the rest of this season. We'll see about the playoffs there for Malik Monk. And then for the Knicks, Josh Hart is now on the questionable side on the injury report for this team. Mitchell Robinson also remains questionable, and OG and Julius Randle are still out. Over the last 5 for these two teams, the Kings playing a really tough schedule, 6th hardest in the league. The Knicks here, 17th, so right about middle of the pack with a couple easy games that they've played as of late. The Knicks, really interestingly, are playing a lot better offense than they are defense as of late, even up to the 21st pace in the league as they were dead last for a while here, playing really slowly. Still very good at rebounding, but it's very odd that we've got the 20th defensive effective field goal percentage for the Knicks over their last 5 games. If you look at the Kings, they've also been a defensive juggernaut, much more so than an offensive one. I'll put it that way. 26th in pace. That has to stand out to you for this Kings team, who is normally one of the top 10 fastest teams in the league. That'll happen when you lose Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk and replace them with Keon Ellis, who's definitely much more of a defensive stopper, a lot less of that run and gun kind of guy. And it would seem like the Kings are gearing up for the playoffs with the way that they're playing much slower and playing better defense than they were playing. Still a very good rebounding team, 3rd best rebound percentage over their last 5, and everything else pretty much middle of the pack. So not quite as impressive. They have had a much tougher schedule than the Knicks, so you got to take that into account. Looking at the trends against the spread here over the last 5 and 10 games for both these teams. Kings 5-5 over the last 10, 3-2 in their last 5, playing a much tougher schedule than the Knicks, though. As we mentioned, the Knicks have been handling those easier squads as they have been all season. Basically 7-2-1 in the last 10. They're really nice record against the spread over their last 10, and 4-1, even better over their last 5, which, as we mentioned, is where the bulk of the ease has come on their schedule. That's my first best bet here, is going to be an under in this game, as I do think the defenses are going to prevail, as we've seen this Kings team be a pretty solid underplay over the course of their last 5 games or so with Keon Ellis in there. The Knicks are always a great underplay. We rarely even get the Knicks at 216.5 totals these days, so I think it's ripe for an under, with both teams trending towards playing a lot tougher defense and worse offense. And the Knicks, their offense being good as of late, is something that I'm taking with a complete grain of salt based on the teams that they've matched up with. And if you are going to be playing some player props here, I'll get a few more of these prop lines up tomorrow during that live stream, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going over that stuff together, as there are always a lot more lines available. But if you are getting ahead of some of these player props as soon as they come out, this would be what I would look at if you're talking about taking any Knicks players. The stuff that I like to look at here, play type matchups, and the way that this Kings team is defending the pick and roll ball handler, not good, right? 5th most points per game against that position and that type of play type. And then if you look at spot up shooters, guys who are getting that catch and shoot stuff off of drives and kickouts, like the way that guys like Dante DiVincenzo do. Now we're talking about this Kings team being 4th worst against spot-up shooters. So the two guys that you really might want to look at here for player props to go over anyway for the Knicks are going to be Jalen Brunson, who's the dude playing pick and roll, 2nd most in the NBA, by the way, with the amount of possessions that he's playing the pick and roll on the season, 11.5 points per game, also in the top 5 there. And for Dante DiVincenzo, really good spot-up shooter, and the dude who's been getting a ton of threes off of Jalen Brunson's looks here as he dribble drives and kicks to guys like Dante DiVincenzo. He's getting the bulk of these threes. He and Miles McBride, though, are both going to be good options if you want to look at the three-point props and the over on points. Next game, we've got the 76ers, the new look 76ers, maybe if Joel Embiid plays, and the Miami Heat here, who have been doing pretty well as of late, as opposed to the sort of erratic behavior that they were displaying before their last few games. The Heat are going to be 1.5-point favorites at home right now, as we really just don't know what's up with Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid might be the most impactful in or out player in the league, minus maybe like a Nikola Jokic you could put in that category, but I don't know if outside of the two of them, maybe Luka, the three of them, let's put it that way. Out of the three of those dudes, there's not many guys that are going to impact a game, whether they sit or play, as much as Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey being out is almost as important, just doesn't really touch Joel, who just came up with, 12 free throw attempts in this last game, which was a huge reason that Philly ended up pulling out the victory over the Thunder. But we just don't know if he's going to play yet. If he does play, 1.5 still doesn't seem that wrong with the way that this Heat team is getting healthier and healthier every day. But if he doesn't play, this 1.5 is an absolute steal, in which case we just got to take it now on the pretense that perhaps he does not play. Like I said, you can see what's coming up here for the Heat as of late, looking really good on offense, 5th best offensive rating, while still maintaining that defensive rating of best in the league. And that is based on a little bit based on the fact they've been playing the 4th easiest schedule over these last 5 games. Philly, meanwhile, has had a brutal schedule over their last 5, playing the 5th toughest competition according to strength of schedule. They've been much better on offense and much worse on defense than they were, despite the fact that they played such a low-scoring game against the Thunder recently. So, I think you also have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. These two teams have played completely opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the strength of schedule that they've faced as of late. So I'm not necessarily ready to just declare the Heat back, but the upward trend in playing much better does give you a little bit of sort of like an uplifting feeling that they're going to be able to handle this game, especially with that really nice win against the Knicks here, as they just played them a couple games ago and handled them in a way that makes you go, okay, maybe the Heat are going to start trending upwards now. Jimmy Butler's sort of been waiting, I suppose, for the right time to strike, as he normally does, and now he is back and in this game. Only dude they're really missing in this one is Tyler Hero, who they've actually been better without him this season than with him. So I still do lean towards this Heat team. You can look at the trends over the last 5 games. I don't really do much with this. This minus 1.5 point spread means there's not much of a spread in general that we have to worry about how this team has done against the spread. The Heat have not been great against the spread, as they've lost or not covered against some bad teams and even lost to a couple bad teams over their last 10. But in the last 5, handling business a bit more and looking a lot better on offense while still maintaining that defense. So as far as the matchups here, Philly, while they've been good on offense, like I said, even against good teams, they've been doing it in a way that is not necessarily going to be opportunistic against the Miami Heat. They've done it with fast break points and transition. They've done it by making a lot of threes, and they've crashed the offensive boards for those second chance points. What do the Heat do really well on the season? Limiting opponent transition points, 3rd best. Limiting 3-pointers over their last 10, last 5 rather, I should say. They've been limiting 3-pointers a lot now that they have their wing defense all back together. And as far as offensive rebounds go for the other team, do not give those up. Top offensive rebound percentage that they limit the other teams to so far this season and in the last 10. Just always going to be really good at defensive rebounding as they sort of corral that defense, and everybody goes in for those boards. So all of that leads me to a full unit that I've already placed on the Heat. You can always buy out of things, right? Now, if this spread completely changes because Joel Embiid is in, now we're actually talking about an opportunity for a nice middle, perhaps, where we can get the 76ers. Maybe we get them a little worse spread. Maybe we take them to win the game. And now we're basically just nullifying our bet. So we can always buy out of things as we see the injury report come together. But I put the full unit on minus 1.5 for them because, like I said, if one of Maxey or Embiid does not play, I think this is a really good bet. Obviously, Joel would equal probably like 4 points. This should probably be minus 5.5, 6 or so if Joel is not playing in this game, in which case we do like the Heat at minus 1.5 right now with what I expect to be some closing line value in this game. Third game that I'm taking a look at here with a couple of plays that I already have for Thursday. Put them down on Wednesday night. We've got the Warriors with Jonathan Kuminga here, questionable. They're minus 3.5 on the road at the Rockets. That might continue to go up as they've 5-0 in their last 5 games, playing pretty well. The Rockets, they have everybody available except for Şengün, who we know is hurt still and will be out. But we do have guys like Cam Whitmore in, and a few other guys that were missing some time as of late will be in this one for the Rockets. If we look at the last 5 for these teams, the Dubs, like I said, 3-0, or excuse me, 5-0 over their last 5 games, looking really good net right now with the defense. Second best defensive rating over the course of this time. Played some really bad offenses, so take that with a little bit of grain of salt. They played the Heat without Jimmy Butler. They played the Hornets. They played the Magic, who have been not exactly an offensive juggernaut themselves and much better on defense. So they have been matching the style of play of the teams that they played, but the defense has been what's done it for them. The defensive rebound percentage has gone way up. The overall rebound percentage, they're best in the league over their last 5 games, still playing some pretty good rebounding teams while they're doing this stuff. So that's really impressive for them, limiting the other team's effective field goal percentage to the tune of second best in the league over these 5. So it's been a lot more of that defensive side of the ball that's been the calling card for the Warriors, as they just beat that Mavericks team 104-100, who was the hottest team in the league. Now that might be the Warriors, to be honest with you. The Rockets, they were the hottest team in the league for a bit with that roughly like 8 or 9 game win streak, have come back down to earth as they played a really tough schedule over their last few games, playing a lot better teams and not being able to necessarily pull out wins against teams like the Timberwolves, although they have been covering, right? But it's that offensive rating that's dropped way back down to what it was before they really went on that run, right? When they lost Şengün, played some really easy squads right after Şengün went down, and that offensive rating skyrocketed. The pace was also basically tops in the league for a while as well. Now they've come back down a little bit more to the mean, right? To the average of what you would expect from them. 22nd offensive ratings, actually a little bit worse than you might expect from them, but the D rating at about 11th, pace at 11th. That all makes sense to me. The rebound percentage gone down, which is something that they could have used as of late as well, and really just not making shots, right? They were like a really good three-point shooting team that was playing with a ton of pace, and over the last 5 or so, those three-point numbers have gone way down. They now have the 4th worst offensive effective field goal percentage on their in their last 5 games, which was one of the things that they were banking all these wins on. Now, they do still have really good numbers against the spread for the Rockets. 7-3 in their last 10, covering against bad teams more so than like covering as the underdog, right? They are 3-2 still in their last 5, but not as good as you would expect. Lost by 7 to the Timberwolves, but 7.5 point was the spread. There was a really big spread for the T-Wolves, who only ended up winning by 7 after the Rockets scored a few last-second points that didn't really matter in garbage time. The Dubs not really covering as much, so I don't know that I'm really looking at a side in this one, although I still would lean towards the Warriors with the way that they've been playing. This is a really important game between the 10th and 11th seeds in the West. So I actually think the play here is the under, and it's based on the way that these two teams have been playing defense, but it's also basically a playoff game. Like, the winner of this game is in a really good spot to continue to move on and get that 10 seed. If the Dubs lose, they can pretty much kiss any chance of getting a seed better than 10 goodbye. If the Rockets lose, they're putting themselves in a big hole now to try to come back against this Dubs team. They'd be down 2.5 games with just a few left to play. I believe 5 or so for each team. Not a position you want to find yourself in. So they're going to be coming out clawing and scratching. But I expect the Dubs to really make their way on defense here as a way to limit this Rockets team. If they get back at all, if they can limit the three-pointer, then they're going to be in a good position to win. So I expect that to be the focus for the Dubs and get this and for them looking for a dub by a defense. We're still a little bit sparse here with the player props available to us. So let me just look at some play type matchups in case you do want to play some player props here on Thursday between these two teams. I'm looking at the Dubs and their defense, really bad in transition, really bad versus spot-up shooters, but very good limiting things up top above the break versus the pick-and-roll ball handler in that situation, right? So looking at the transition points here, 5th most that they give up. The 3 guys that you really want to look at, and you could probably throw Amin Thompson into this list as well, but the 3 guys that are continuing to get out into transition and get those buckets and field goal attempts for the Rockets: Cam Whitmore, who is back, Fred VanVleet, and Dylan Brooks. And then if you look at the spot-up shooters, you've got another sort of commonality there. You've got Cam Whitmore as a dude who gets a ton of spot-up stuff. So he is someone that I would be targeting if you want to take an over on points specifically. He's the type of dude who's going to get out into the transition. He's going to be spotted up, playing off of guys like Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet, who he should be available for a bit more points, as the Dubs do force the ball out of the ball handler's hands when they get that pick-and-roll defense going. For the pick-and-roll offense for the Rockets, we're talking about Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet. Those are the 2 dudes who are getting screens set for them when they have the ball in their hands, right? So that's not necessarily a good thing for those 2 dudes. I don't know that I'd be looking at points over for either of them. And Jalen Green has a really high number at 26.5. Might even lean under for him in a game where he's going to be the focal point of this Dubs defense. So I do think they'll be forcing the ball out of his hands. I think an under for Jalen Green at 26.5 points is also a good play. Just haven't put it in yet, so I didn't give you guys this bet, but it will be on my final card tomorrow. I don't expect his points to go down, so you're not going to lose much value if you don't bet it until Thursday. But keep in mind that this is the matchup that you want to consider when you're looking at player props on Thursday. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one for Thursday's NBA slate here. Definitely subscribe to the page if you would. Much appreciated. Don't want to miss these videos, that projections, and a few best bets whenever I get them coming out each and every weekday. Also going to have them over the weekend moving forward as we get into these playoffs for the NBA. So like I said, continue to stick around. Jump into that live stream tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, as we do every day of the week, and 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. So until I see y'all next, happy betting.